I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Wednesday, April the 14th, brought to you in part by VitaFirm, by Biozyme, best mineral money can buy. Actually going to be at VitaFirm offices giving a presentation for a sales meeting on Wednesday morning. Be interested to meet a lot of the VitaFirm salesmen. They're all over the country. They've got dealerships everywhere. Anywhere you're at, they can send you this mineral, and you may have to buy a load of it. Maybe you can share it with your neighbors or some other ranches around, but it's an awful good product made with their patented Amifirm. For more information, go to biozymeinc.com. Overbought. Now we're starting to see several analysts and basically the whole industry talk about your cattle futures, both live and feeder cattle for that matter, as being overbought. Really? You know, we've actually got our April feeder cattle, spot feeder cattle, trading below where cash is trading, and we've completely eliminated your negative basis on your live cattle spot compared to what your cash fat cattle was last week. So how can we say that your futures market is overbought? It seems like it's kind of right in line. There's no law against the cash market going beyond where your futures are trading. And you know, we need to get to that point, guys. You know, why shouldn't your packers be chasing your cash market? We're short of fat cattle right now, especially in your northern areas in Nebraska. Some of your better cattle, they're wanting you know, the better cattle up there, and they need to fill those slots in the Nebraska plants. They're hauling cattle from Kansas, they're hauling cattle from Colorado up to fill those slots. Yeah, we're in a big demand for fat cattle right now. Your box beef cutout values have soared. They're trading well above what our cash market is in comparison. You know, we're selling box beef cutout values are sitting at around 270, and they're getting to buy fat cattle dressed at 195, 196. You know, we had no trade really on a direct basis to speak of on Tuesday, and none on Monday, of course. But at a fat cattle auction, where we ought to be doing more business, that's how come we have such good demand for feeder cattle, is because we have feeder cattle auctions all over the country. We still have a few fed cattle auctions in the Midwest and in the Northern Plains. At Stockman's Livestock in Yankton, South Dakota, on Tuesday, they were buying fat cattle from 123 to 130 and a quarter. Now, a lot of them were drug-free or non-implanted. Big deal. That's not that big a deal. But on a good offering of cattle, I had 2,700, including their slaughter cows and bulls, for their slaughter auction on Tuesday at Yankton, South Dakota. Great market there. And it just goes to show what competition does. That's why we need mandated minimum negotiated cash trade in your fat cattle arena. And we've got to get that, because you see what competition does, especially when supplies are short. Supply demand. That's the way your economics work, or that's what my ag eco professors told me at West Texas A&M, and it's always worked. I talked to some buyers, some guys that were well versed and had a lot of you know, a background and history in buying of fat cattle. And they said, looking at those fat cattle that were coming in, a lot of local cattle coming in there at Yankton, South Dakota, and those guys buy those cattle dressed. You know, they're bidding a live price, but they're looking at the cattle, filling a dressed order. And one of the buyers told me, he said, those cattle looked like they were all bringing over $2 a pound dressed, standing in the ring. Because likely they were fairly full. They came in on a short haul there, and but your packer buyers were still lapping them up there. We need to get some demand like that, some prices like that going in our direct areas. And so I don't believe we're overbought. I mean, I'm not criticizing anybody that says that. Anytime you see the board of any commodity race up there for 2 or 3 weeks and then start to ease off, then you can usually say that it's overbought. And in the same way on the downside, you can say it's oversold. But I think we're sitting in a good spot right now here. We really haven't even got in to our grilling season. It's been seasonably cool around, so you know, the guys aren't really itching about getting out in the backyard, especially in your major metropolitan areas in the Northeast and things like that, because it's been fairly cool. So I think we've got a lot of good demand coming for our beef. We've got shorter supplies of market-ready cattle. We're just about done with the cattle that were placed on feed as yearlings. So now we're going to be going into the calves. They were slower growing, aren't going to grade as well, and the packers are going to be more critical when they're buying those. So they're likely to give more for the cattle that they believe are fully finished. I think we're in a good spot, guys. And if you've got fat cattle to sell, don't let them tell you that you only deserve steady money. I heard some stories around the circuit on Tuesday from guys that had feedlots had cattle for sale on the show list, and some of the packers coming in there and said, well, the highs are already been in. Yeah, that's the way, that's that packer psychology, guys. Don't listen to it. I tell you what, you guys deserve to have a good market. And it's time to get it. So dig in, and let's see how high we can make it. Up here in northwest Missouri, coming to you from the Tracy Taylor Building in beautiful downtown Maysville, Missouri, my former home. Going to be going out, like I said, to Vitafirm in St. Joe, Missouri, and giving a talk on Wednesday morning. Also get to go to St. Joe Stockyards when I get done with that to attend one of the last sales at the old historic stockyards. I'm looking forward to that. The last sale is being advertised as May 19th. I'm hoping to make it back up for the very last sale at St. Joe Stockyards, but going to be attending here on Wednesday and looking forward to that. Let's talk about your futures market on Tuesday. Your April live cattle futures down 32 cents at 122.40. Now, our weighted average last week on live steers in your 5-area feeding region was like just over 122. So we're right in there, guys. That's what stuff is worth, and it's April, and that's your market. I mean, things are kind of working. That's the way it's supposed to go. You know, we had some deliveries earlier in the delivery period here last week or so, and they've kind of come to fruit, and they're bringing those in. And guys are taking possession of those cattle that they got delivered upon. Now, you know, and it's backed your basis up just like it's supposed to. Everything's working like it's supposed to work. Just because you know, your packers aren't getting cattle bought significantly less than what you know, we've been posted, well, that doesn't mean that we're overbought or anything like that. So let's don't talk about that. We're well within our means to gain some more ground here. We should be getting these cattle sold, you know, way up in the high 20s, even beyond 130 there. You know, we just told you on the last visit, packers are averaging over $400 a head profit on the cattle that they're slaughtering. Some of these cattle that they're getting bought that are really performing well on the rail, they're making over $600 a head. How much do they need to make? It's not our job to make sure that they have record profits all the time. You guys got to stay in business too. How about June live cattle futures down $1.17, 120.92. So, you know, they're showing on the board that we should be going off the edge a little bit, but let's let supply and demand work this deal out. How about on your back months of live cattle, down 15 cents to down $1.05, and all your live cattle futures were down some. I wouldn't be surprised to see them come back a little bit here middle of the week. April feeder cattle down 205, and that is mostly due to your grains being higher. They jumped up again. They reared their ugly head again on Tuesday, but down 205, 142.45 for your April. May contracts down 237 at 147.32. Going out from there, and they were down $1.80 to down 242. So took some hit there. May corn was up 11 cents on Tuesday at 5.80. But you know, everybody keeps talking about, you know, we're in a drought. There's areas, especially out west, that we're in a drought. It's bad, really bad. But here in the Midwest, for the most part, they're getting seasonal rains. It's too wet to plant in most areas. It's just like it's supposed to be. You know, the prospective planning report said that they weren't going to plant as much corn as what we thought. But since then, we've seen people get really excited about planting corn. It's not too late to change your mind, guys. How about your new crop corn? It was up 7 3/4 on Tuesday at 504 1/4. I think guys would plant corn for that. How about beans? Your May contract up 7.5 at 13.89 1/2. November new crop beans at up a penny at 12.51 1/4. So pretty good prices out there, guys, and I wouldn't get too excited about all these rumors that are floating around. Everybody's always floating rumors around of doomsday. We need the sun to shine once in a while. We need to get a market. So let's try to do that, and we've got to do it ourselves. Nobody's going to do it for us. How about your fat cattle trade? Didn't have any direct trade. Of course, it's early in the week. Did have several people report that packers were nosing around, kind of trolling around the feedlot, driving up and down the alleyways, kind of looking around, seeing what they're doing. They may not have stopped in and said anything, may not have called, but they're nosing around. They want to get some cattle bought. Your Texas cash pool through Consolidated Beef Producers had a lighter run, almost 700 head, but still significant. And that's on a cash basis, again, just straight up cash. And they did sell those cattle at 121.51. That's well higher than what your weighted average was last week in Texas. That's some other bids of 119.11 and 120.55, but didn't get it done. That's another signal that we could gain some more ground this week, and that's what that cash pool is kind of for. Let's talk about your box beef cutout values. It seems like we've kind of hit a little bit resistance on the top side on your choice. So the second day in a row it was down, but not down near as much as it's been going up the last 2 or 3 weeks. Choice cuts 270.11, down $1.30. Select 266.54, up 38 cents. And you got a choice select spread of just $3.57. This close to grilling season, you never see that. How about slaughter? 228,000 through Tuesday. I know that's early in the week, but that's 3,000 more than last week. 45,000 more than the same week a year ago when we were having trouble keeping the plants open. What else is going on? On Thursday, we're going to be having a Western Video Market sale. Going to be out in Turlock, California, guys. And you want to get on that sale. They've got lots of good cattle, more replacement stock, more cows and pairs and things like that than what they normally have, because there's areas that are so dry in California. Does that bother corn? No, not really. But it does bother people that are trying to raise cattle on that grass and they haven't had any rain through the winter time, and they're just having to sell off some of their stock. But be sure and get on that sale. Western Video Market on Thursday. You can go to wvmcattle.com or go on to dvauction.com, get the same console on there, and don't forget to log on there. How about your feeder cattle market? Real-time index on DV Auction late in the day on Tuesday, setting at 144.26, up 16 cents. So we're still gaining ground there, guys. We're not seeing the huge gains that we saw last week on your trends in your feeder cattle auctions, but still selling pretty darn good. And most of where it's backed off is on your lighter weight calves and even on your stockers. They're just, they got to such a level that, guys are just kind of backing off of them now. And most everybody's secured what they needed if they're turning out significant numbers of cattle on grass. How about Ozarks Regional Stockyard in West Plains, Missouri, 3,000 head. For the most part, your cattle sold steady to $3 higher, except for your lighter weight steer calves under $5.50, and they were $1 to $2 lower. But you guys remember what a smoky sale they had at West Plains a week ago, and just staying up where anywhere even with that is a victory. One of your best sales that I saw anywhere on Tuesday, and sitting in a spot where it is really dry in the Oklahoma Panhandle there, but it's not bothering the market there. Beaver County Stockyards in Beaver, Oklahoma had close to 1,900 head of feeders there. Market looked steady to $5 higher for the most part on your cattle. If you're looking at your automated market report from Cattle Market Central, your best tested weights by far were in your heavy steers there. And look at that, 465 head, 900-pound steers averaging 931 right there. They brought 133.58 on the average. That's pretty darn good down there in the desert, guys. How about a stick-out deal on some stockers that did sell really well? 52 head, 622-pound steers in Beaver, Oklahoma, bring $178. Wow. Another great sale, week in, week out. I tell you what, Kimball Livestock Exchange in Kimball, South Dakota, they're just blowing the roof off the place every week. They have one of the best sales consistently in the Northern Plains or anywhere in the United States. Another big sale this week, about 3,700 head of feeders there. Looked at the report on there. This is the only place you're going to see it, guys. It's right here on the feeder flash and your automated market report through Cattle Market Central. Didn't have many lighter weights on there. It's mostly bigger cattle. Your 7 weights look $1 to $4 higher. Some of your heavier feeders $1 to $5 lower, and that just comes with the territory because they had such a smoky sale last week, if you remember that. But if you look at some of your best tested weights there from Kimball on your steers, 820 head of 7-weight steers average 757 at 154.75 on your weighted average. Nearly 800 head of 8-weight steers in Kimball averaged 836 at 143.20 on your average price. 747 head of 9-weight steers, Kimball, South Dakota, averaged 941 at 132.87. Couple of individual quotes that stuck out to me. Imperial Auction Market, Imperial, Nebraska, 158 head, 637-pound stocker steers bring 178.75. And your best quote that I saw anywhere, and your Zach Tran top quote for the day, indeed come out of Kimball Livestock Exchange, 65 head, 770-pound steers at 156.50. And that's your feeder flash for Wednesday.